This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with the creator of noise-canceling headphones for dogs. I will tell you all about her and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a pet parent, an inventor, an entrepreneur, a former packaging engineer, an adventure seeker, a road tripper, and a cocktail connoisseur. She's a world traveler, a sports junkie, who's originally from Detroit and recently moved back after 20 years of being all over the U.S. She's dog mom to Emma and Teddy. She's founder of Emma Brands, and she's the creator of Ponics, noise-canceling headphones for dogs. Her name is Kirsten Brand. Welcome, Kirsten. It's so good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me and Emma and Teddy. Pleasure to be here.
It's so good to meet you. I'm so excited. I really love when somebody thinks outside the box and creates something that maybe in 100 years is going to be like a no-brainer, right? But it's you who is entering the market with it, which probably is no easy feat. So I want to get to know all of these things that you've done to bring noise-canceling headphones to the pet industry. But first, I want to introduce our drinking game. So anybody at home participating in our drinking game today, anytime you hear this word,
The secret word is sharks.
take a drink of whatever you're enjoying, but please be over 21 to partake in an alcoholic beverage in the U.S. I know you sell all over the world, so just follow your rules wherever you are and never drink and drive. You always should drink responsibly. So what are you having today, Kirsten?
I am having a lovely Guinness. I'm a fan of stouts.
Ooh, I love a Guinness too. There's something about a Guinness you can't really replicate. And I'm also a fan of tequila. So today I'm having a watermelon margarita with actually zero proof tequila, which is made by Ritual Zero Proof. They are not sponsoring, even though they should be. I just want to shout them out because it's a great product. This tastes like a real margarita. It even has that little burn of like alcohol, like of a spirit. So you really feel like you're getting a cocktail. It has all the flavor that you'd expect from a tequila, but it won't give you a hangover. So cheers. Thank you for being on the show. It's so good to meet you, Kirsten.
Yeah, it's good that you like Ritual because I've tried a couple of the zero proof and, you have the drink and you're like, something's missing.
Yeah, it's that burn. I feel like it's the burn, right? I haven't tried any of their other spirits. They make others. I kind of want to try the rum, but I guess it's late in the season to do that. So I'll wait till next summer to try that. I need somebody to come up with a very good zero proof red wine. Like I have yet to find that red wine, especially in the fall and winter, is like my go-to. And if some inventor is out there, can you make it so that it doesn't stain my teeth while you're at it? So no alcohol, no staining teeth. That would be the perfect thing for me. So Kirsten, I want to introduce this show with a game, which is how I do it every week. I want to play a game about the whole purpose of your product, which is noise phobia, noise aversion in dogs. So this first game, it's called Noise Proof. And noise proof, as in your headphones are noise proof, but also noise proof because I feel like a lot of pet parents aren't quite convinced of the severity of noise phobia, noise aversion, etc. Would you agree with that statement?
I agree with that because it doesn't affect all dogs. It affects like 1 in 3. And in my house, I have 2. And of course, Emma, who it was made for, is the sound phobia girl. And Teddy could care less, wants to go and investigate all kinds of noises. But when he sees his sister put on her Ponics, he's like, it is Ponics time. I want my Ponics. Let's go lay down. Let's go have fun.
I love that so much. I have been looking through your Instagram with all of these dogs wearing their Ponics, and it's just the cutest thing. All right. So before we talk about the Ponics, let's play this game. So these facts are taken from today's veterinarypractice.com. It's an article that was sponsored by a veterinary product manufacturer. So I feel like it's probably been researched and fact checked multiple times. So here we go. The first question, and this is a true and false game, is canine aversion is also known as noise anxiety or phobia. True or false?
True.
True. And people talk about it in many different ways, but let's just say that that's the way that it is referred to in a veterinary medicine situation. Canine aversion affects 67% of dogs in the United States.
Oh, I'm going to go with false because of the stat that I just had earlier.
No, I think that's about the same stat, right? 67% is probably 1 out of 3.
Then it's gone up.
Yeah, it's gone up.
1 in 3 would be 33, right?
1 in 3 would be 33. You're right. I was thinking 2 out of 3. Yes.
2
okay.
out of 3.
Right. But this is the United States only.
COVID.
Ooh, yeah, I'm sure it has. COVID puppies have all sorts of challenges that they face having been stuck at home with us for a year.
Yeah, because it's not what I boast all the time about thunderstorms and fireworks. It can still be as simple as your vacuum, right? Like dogs are scared of that. So
exactly right. Exactly. Okay, many pet owners do not view noise aversion as a medical issue, so they do not discuss their concerns with their veterinarians. True or false?
True.
Yes, true. They think it's like bad behavior or they're just a little nervous. This is the next one. Genetics has been suggested as a basis for noise aversion in pointers and herding breeds. True or false?
It's true.
That is true. Usually, I mean, there could be other environmental factors, but genetics is sometimes what we end up going back to. Fear is reduced by repeated exposure to the sound stimulus. True or false?
False.
That is right. You are right. It is false. It is false, and I wanted to make sure that I changed that one up because it was actually kind of a surprise for me. Because, with noise phobia, you get a lot of mixed messages from dog trainers and from things. We don't have enough, I feel like, research, maybe until lately, to tell us exactly how to address it. And I know you do like counter conditioning, so that is definitely something that is recommended. But I hadn't actually read anywhere that fear is increased every time that there's exposure, which is really concerning.
So, you would think that if you're training them to not react, that you're training them to not be scared anymore. But you can train them to not do the reaction that you've been seeing, but that doesn't mean that they're not still calculating it internally. I kind of tell some people in my network about when you're talking to a kid and you're just like, she should be seen and not heard. Like the kid is still sitting there thinking and taking that all in and internalizing it. And dogs are doing the same thing. They have a fight or flight. And just because you tell them, no, don't react, doesn't mean that in their internal system, their fight or flight isn't still going on.
Exactly right. Noise aversion can have a negative effect on the owner's quality of life. True or false?
True. Yeah, and that's a shame. I mean, I hope people don't get to that extreme of having to surrender their dog. But also the simplest thing about just feeling bad, that your dog feels bad, that's putting stress on your life and in your own body. And so it's a cyclical effect. Then your dog senses that and feels stressed, and then you stress, and we try to break that.
Yes, absolutely. Because so this is not going to make you feel any better, guys. This is dogs experiencing noise aversion are akin to a person having a panic attack. True or false?
True.
That is true. Dogs with noise aversion may also develop other comorbidities such as separation or general anxiety. True or false?
True.
That is true. And the last one is severity can be assessed by asking about the intensity of the reaction, the frequency of noise aversion events, and how soon the dog recovers from the event once the noise has stopped. True or false?
True. True.
So just knowing that there is a way to test, just like a questionnaire even, should help pet parents understand that it really is a real thing and that it needs to be addressed. And I love that you became the inventor of a product to address noise phobia from an experience with your dog, Emma. Can you briefly tell us how Emma displayed her noise aversion?
Oh, Emma, hold on. I was afraid everybody at home. He also used to be a drinker, but she's 17 now, so. But this is Emma, who was the noise averse one, and she would do everything from the shake that you can see. She'd try to go run and hide. Her favorite place was in the shower, like other dogs, just cowering in the shower. If we weren't at home, because we traveled a lot in our old job, you could see her physically cower every time a loud noise would happen. And so, like, those are just the things that you can physically see,
right.
But there's so much going on in their little brains, and just like us, like cortisol and like all kinds of chemical reactions are going on that tend to prolong things.
Yeah, it's terrible to see. I have a noise-phobic dog, and it's mostly storms. So she doesn't like fireworks, but luckily we don't get them super close here. And when we do, we've prepared for them. So we have her under like really high dose CBD or something like that to calm her down. And we have some prescription medication for those cases. Kira can feel storms coming before they even arrive. So she has like a storm phobia, and you can see her like shaking on the floor. And it's like these tiny little shivers, and it's not destructive and it's not vocal. It's just like this like paralysis and like trembling. It's so sad to see. So how difficult was it for you to say, okay, so Emma has this problem. I heard in the Arden Moore interview that you did on Oh Behave, where you used your Sony headphones to see if they would put her at ease. I mean, a desperate pet parent will try anything, right? She took to them okay, but it wasn't right for her species.
Or me, right? There's a lot of pet parents out there that know exactly what I'm talking about, that you're awkwardly holding these earmuffs, right? Or the Sony ears like above their ears. And then you're like, what do I do now? I'm just going to sit here for an hour holding it. And like, so then I was like, how do I do this? How do I just make it so that my life's easier? Right? Because we all love convenience. And so that's how the iteration started about how do you take this technology and gear it towards a dog.
Amazing. You have one there to show us. Can you tell us quickly how it works?
Yeah, sure. So just like other headsets that are on the market, like your Rex Specs and your Mutt Muffs, we provide sound dampening foam that's inside. And then we go a level above and beyond, right? We mentioned the Sony, and it has electronics inside where there's 2 microphones on each ear. One is taking the initial sound and making a wavelength and then sending it back out through the speaker, so it knocks the original sound down. And then there's a secondary hybrid speaker that is also trying to like clean it up and make it so that it'll knock the sound down even more. So that's all the noise canceling aspects. And then we also provide Bluetooth, because we know that music is calming and soothing, not only for humans, but for dogs. And there's many studies out there about using reggae or classical music to help calm dogs. And they did it for shelter dogs first. So why reinvent the wheel? That's what we recommend, reggae and classical. And so we're so happy to be able to provide them, your dog, with a little different thing to think about too, right? They're like, oh, what's that music instead of what's that? They can
see, like when I hear reggae, I think of myself on a cruise ship with a margarita or like a pina colada. I know that they wouldn't associate that, but still they can. I love that reggae is one of them. I love reggae. I'm from Miami, like been to the islands a lot. So that to me sounds amazing. But my dog, Kira, not much of an island dog, so I bet she would like the Mozart better. So what has the reaction been in the pet industry, in the world of pet parents and pet lovers? What if they told you about this product?
Oh, one, it was like, it's about time, genius, we need it. And when your at the point where you'll do anything for your dog because you haven't found another thing that will work, man, the price point is nothing for me. I'd spend, $1 million to make my dog feel better. So we get a lot of positive feedback. We're getting somewhere, some people are on a more fixed income, and we're so happy that platforms have payment plans now.
Yes.
You don't have to, shuck out all the money all at once. You can do it in a more, responsible way over a couple months.
Yes.
And we, just like your dog, we do get feedback though about dogs feeling storms and feeling sounds. And so we've spent a lot of time, recommending the thunder shirts out there and how do you create a system so that your dog is protected everywhere. And since we've been talking about it so much and even recommending people put like children's shirts on their dogs so that they get the swaddle effect too, we dove deeper into that science. And now we're, in the middle of creating anxiety pajamas and anxiety vests to like kind of expand the Ponics line. Cause we're like, well, if we're already talking about it, like we should just use our know-how and like make it better than what's out there already.
Yes. So it's really funny. We're going to talk about your experience on Shark Tank. I have been going through the show and all the notes and like articles that came out about it. And it's funny to me, the price point is about $200, give or take. And to me, first of all, if I was a shark, I would have been like, yeah, I mean, that's people pay $200 for pet related electronics all the time. So like the price point is not out of this world. And then when you realize just how much you're spending on like all the supplements that maybe could or could not work, then you're like, it's really not that much either. So like from a pet professional's experience, I've been in the pet industry for 20 years. I'm a writer and journalist specializing in the pet industry. I can tell you that the sharks just didn't have the experience with pets that maybe I would have or somebody else would have. So I do want to dig into your Shark Tank experience. No hate on the sharks, love the sharks, especially Mark Cuban. But I do need to take a break here. So let's listen to our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to dig into what it's like to be a pet industry entrepreneur on Shark Tank. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I'm having an awesome conversation with Kirsten Brand, who developed a line of noise-canceling headphones. And I can't say it without doing this for some reason and putting my hands around my ears because I feel like it's such a cool concept. And I'm so excited that you took the time to chat with me today. And I've always been a fan of Shark Tank, so I know you were on Shark Tank. If you're game, I would like to invite you to play a second game with me. It's called Shark Tank Insider. And I promise not to ask you too many questions because I'm sure there's some kind of documents and contracts and NDAs that you signed. But would you grace us with some insider tips or insider information?
I'll try where I can. It is a very close-knit little, like you join the little Shark Tank society of, people who have been on it and aired. And there is a little behind it because it's Hollywood and there has to be some magic.
Of course.
I'll answer what I can.
Okay, here we go. This is Shark Tank Insider. First of all, was it your idea or somebody else's to go on Shark Tank?
Oh, when you talk about a new idea, everybody says, oh, you should be on Shark Tank. You should be on Shark Tank. And I always got to the point of like, oh, well, I want to be at this certain dollar amount. I want to do this. I want to do that. But you should, if you have a great idea, like throw that out the window and do it whenever you can because it's so very hard to get on. And it was just a spring day. And I was like, you know what? now I need to do it. And I'm so happy I did, because it is a long duration process and very hard to get on there. And everybody there gets so blessed.
That is my next question. From application that spring day to actually like seeing yourself on the TV, how long did it take?
Oh, it was almost a year from seeing myself on the TV.
Wow.
So I don't know if you've known anybody that has actually been preempted on TV, but my episode was preempted twice.
What does that mean?
It means it was supposed to air and then they had to push it. So the first time they pushed it is because ABC broke in and had to do special coverage of the Ukraine war because it had just started like that week.
Understood.
So my episode got pushed later into the season, and then they brought it forward to fill some other ABC gaps, you know, like good production teams that they are.
Yes.
And then I was preempted for the second time because there's some strange thing in the Detroit area with ABC that they did a wedding special show at that time. Yeah, so after the wedding special, it was then shown at 1:00 in the morning, just in Michigan. So I'm having like a little watch party. Luckily, I had the episode, but we were a little delayed starting the episode. So when my segment aired, like my phone just blew up from all my friends all over the country. Like, oh, you did such a good job, this, that. And I'm like, I haven't even seen it yet. I'm like, okay, well, now I don't even have to watch myself because my friends and family said I did a good job.
That's important. Okay, so where is Shark Tank filmed? Is it in LA?
It is in LA again. They had a stint with COVID where they were in Vegas, but they are back to LA. And they're also back to doing all the interviews for people who want to be on the show in different cities, because they had done a long time a traveling show, right, to get people for the show. And then COVID happened and everything, like when I did it, everything was virtual and through WebEx and everything. And now they're back to live casting calls. So I think that's great. So people, you know, can pitch live instead of having a screen in front of them, and it's great. It'll be the show.
And who went with you other than Emma?
Oh, it was just me and Emma. Poor Teddy didn't get to go. Teddy's a bit of a COVID character baby, so I would have needed a second handler. But
and he's huge, so
if I ever get invited back, he's going to Hollywood, and I'll take some with me.
Good. I sign up for dog handling in Hollywood.
Okay.
Take me with you. All right. Who wrote your sales pitch? Did you write it yourself?
I wrote most of it, and they give you great production teams that, you know, have been doing this for the 14, 15 seasons that they've been on the air. And my team was amazing, but they pretty much just let you talk about what you want and sell your own company and your own product. They just give you advice.
Perfect. Okay. So how nervous were you?
Oh, I was super nervous. Like those doors that they open and then you walk down the hallway are huge. And it's a huge production thing. And I didn't think it was that big watching the show. And then when you're there, you didn't get to see it or hear it, but I was holding Emma and the doors open and I was looking up and I'm just like, Jesus, take the wheel. And the production team afterwards was like, that was really cute what you started saying. And I'm like, I said that out loud.
You said it out loud. I haven't actually seen the episode. I couldn't pull it up, but I saw.
They don't have it on TV, but the production team was just like, that was really cute.
Oh, got it. Okay, so what was the best part of being on Shark Tank?
I think the best part was the experience and all the people that I got to meet, and like everybody who runs that show is just amazing. Like the nicest people. And of course, it doesn't hurt that every time it re-airs, I can tell because I get emails about, you know, how our customers disagree with what the sharks were saying, and, you know, give me kudos for keeping going and that the product's needed. So I'm like, oh, there's an influx of sales and an influx of emails. It must have re-aired on CNBC.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to keep my eye out for it. Okay, what was the worst part about being on Shark Tank?
Oh, watching yourself on TV. And just thinking, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that. But I mean, the experience is so great. It's more about, you know, as an entrepreneur, wanting to do your best and then just kind of rethinking about it over and over in your mind. Like, oh, I could have done this different, or I should have said that. But it was such a great experience. Like, you just have to remember that not everybody gets to do that. And, you know, you got to just be grateful for what you do get to do.
Yeah, and you got your business and your concept out there, which is really all that matters. Nobody remembers exactly the script you used. They remember that you created this really interesting product. So I have one last question for you, part of the game. And that is, so I have one last question for you, which is part of the game. And then I have a couple more questions for you before we wrap up. Who is your favorite shark? And it doesn't have to be the 4 that were there for you, even though you did have a really good Shark Tank.
Oh, I love Lori and Barbara. Then I think my third would be Mark, but who has jumped up from my being on the show and how we interacted was Mr. Wonderful. Like, I know he gets a bad rap, but just what we talked about, our rapport, that because I was out there for over an hour and you only get to see 7 minutes of it. But like, he's a fantastic guy and he just gets a bad rap. But, you know, I think a lot of it's for TV, but.
Oh, I'm sure. So what?
Thing to talk to.
I mean, why do they call him Mr. Wonderful? Is because he's wonderful, or is it sarcasm?
I think a little of both, you know, because he's got an interesting personality, but he's really smart and like very quick. And I think for the show, he has a lot of a job to like dig deeper and get into the harder questions and then be very like, oh, well, because of that, I'm out. But he does dig deep and you know your stuff. They are fascinating, like back and forth. And
They definitely are sharks for a reason. They have a lot of experience. So just the fact that you went there is almost like you were mentored by them a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, did they give you good feedback?
There was a lot of good feedback of like, okay, well, you came from the right industry, you know what you're doing. Like, there was a lot of good stuff. Not like some people get like, you don't know what you're doing, you should stop, blah, blah. So it was nice to hear the good feedback.
All right, so you do recommend the experience to other pet industry entrepreneurs, specifically in the pet industry, would you?
Oh yeah, I would recommend it to anybody, but I think in the pet industry, because we can create so many more products that are in need right now because it's an ever expanding market. I think we have a little leg up because we wouldn't be like, oh, you know, here's another soda or here's another brand of chips with a different ingredient. Like, our entrepreneurs are truly coming up with needed solutions and different things that haven't existed so far.
All right. So last question is about your product, actually. How long between, say, like ordering it and your pet actually wearing it comfortably would you say people should expect when they plan their maybe 4th of July orders or their New Year's orders?
So we do give a 60-day trial period because some dogs take to it right away. And some dogs, you know, take 3 or 4 times or just a longer duration because their PTSD is so bad.
Right.
But we generally turn around orders outside of the massive holiday time in like 3 or 4 days, business days, work much later hours and bring in a staff going into the 4th of July and try to turn everything around in 2 days, 3 days there. And we work 7 days a week because we do work on days, but not a full day. So we would love if everybody started planning in May for the 4th of July, but some people find us until a week before or 2 weeks before. So we offer different shipping options at that point in time. Generally, we're just standard mail postal service to keep costs down. But going into 4th of July, we're like, hey, if you want to overnight it, we will get you to the top of the list and let you do it, you know, for a cost. But people do because they understand the longer that their dog can get used to it, the easier it is on them and the dog.
Awesome. Okay, so where can my audience learn more about the product? And do you have any helpful tips for them when they acclimate their pet to the product?
We're at pawnix.com. That's PAWNIX.com. We have a lot of information, content, blogs. Have good reviews on Trustpilot. We're on the social medias, and all of our handles are Pawnix ANC. And good tips. So we love treat training. We love slow introductions to the headset, give a couple treats, then, you know, let them wear it for a little while, give a couple more treats, get to the point where you can play a little music, give a little more treats. And this is all great to do before any loud event comes because they associate it with like getting treats and love from you instead of like, ooh, the loud event is here. Now it's going to be a scary helmet time. And when people have done that and they've done treat training before and their dogs get to realize that I don't hear the sound the same way. And it's like, now I hear this. We get so many written letters and emails about, oh, my dog will now ask for the phonics when they know a thunderstorm is coming, or like something's going on and there's a loud noise outside and they go to where the phonics is. So they get to know the benefit real quick, as long as, you give a little love in advance.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in doing things slowly with dogs, acclimating them slowly. So I muzzle trained a dog a few years ago before she passed away. And we used pouches, like through the muzzle. And it was so much easier than, having to like force her down and pin her down and put it on. And she wore it happily on walks because she associated the walks with the muzzle. Once we had properly introduced it, I've seen dogs wear goggles, for like motorcycle rides, or for having their head out the window in the car, which I prefer dogs be like harnessed in the car. But if you're going to let your dog have its head out the window, nice goggles are a good idea. So I think that every day we're getting more feedback from the dogs themselves that these things are possible and they will accept these things, but we just have to train them, introduce them, and train them properly. So I love that you have guidance for your customers on that, because it's not always the easiest thing to do. You don't know where to start. So the fact that you have some kind of guide is great. I think one of the biggest things is don't give up after the first time, right? Like, just like if you're harness training a cat, like they're going to like flop, they're going to hate it the first day, but like little by little, they start getting used to it. It's just like if you put a bra on a baby, like they're going to be like, what is this? Right? So it takes time. Trust us wearing bras, that it takes time to acclimate to a lot of things for humans too. Pets are no different. So I just want to propose a toast to you, Kirsten. Thank you so much for being my guest and for this awesome conversation.
Thank you. This was a very fun show.
I'm so happy to hear that. I really enjoy it. So I hope that my enjoying my guests translates through the screen and through the radio. So I also want to propose a toast to our executive producer, Mark Winter. Thank you, Mark. He's the radio guru who gets this out to all the podcasting platforms. And of course, to my audience, thank you for joining me for these awesome conversations. Here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers.
Cheers.
To learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. Thanks for watching, and please rate the podcast so that it gets out to more people. I will see you next time. Thanks again.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on petliferadio.com.